The morning sun glinted off chrome at Trudy's Diner in Austin, Texas. Alex Walker's weathered hands wrapped around a coffee mug. Dog tags still hanging beneath his leather vest adorned with the Rainbow Riders emblem, a proud eagle soaring through a rainbow. 6 years since returning from Iraq, Alex had found his true brotherhood among these riders, each with their own story of rejection and resilience. The bell above Trudy's door didn't simply ring, it exploded with desperate force as a small boy in a torn Houston Astros t-shirt burst inside. Dirt-streaked tears carved paths down his cheeks. "Please help, they're hurting my mom." The diner fell silent, other patrons freezing mid-bite. The child's eyes darted frantically before locking onto the table of leather-clad bikers. Most folks would have seen danger in their tattoos and hard expressions. This boy saw salvation. Alex stood first, recognition flashing in his eyes. He'd worn that same desperate look at 14 when neighborhood boys had discovered his secret and decided to fix him behind the school gym. "Where, buddy?" he asked. "Already moving." "Parking lot. Mom's ex. He's a cop." The boy choked out. With a nod to his brothers, Alex moved toward the door. 7 Rainbow Riders rose as one, boots heavy against the linoleum. The sound of a woman's muffled scream guided them to the far corner of the lot, where a broad-shouldered man in an untucked button-down had a petite blonde woman pinned against a pickup truck. "Jason, please," she begged. "Noah's inside. Don't do this." "You don't get to leave me, Lisa," the man growled, hand raised for another strike. Alex stepped forward. "That's enough." His voice carried the quiet authority of someone who'd commanded men in combat zones. Jason Mitchell turned, his face transitioning from rage to mocking amusement. "Well, look at the cavalry." His eyes focused on the rainbow patches. "The ferry patrol's here to save the day." Alex recognized the gleam in Jason's eyes, the dangerous confidence of a man accustomed to power. "The boy asked for help. We're helping. Step away from her." "Do you know who I am, former sheriff of—" "I don't care if you're the president." Alex cut in. "The boy's watching. Is this who you want him to see?" For a heartbeat, hesitation crossed Jason's face as he glanced toward the diner where Noah pressed his face against the glass. It was all the opening Alex needed. He stepped between them, creating space for Lisa to breathe. Jason lunged. 15 years of military discipline and hard roads since had prepared Alex for men like this. One swift movement put Jason on his knees, arm locked behind his back. "Call it in," Alex told Ricky, the youngest rider. "Domestic assault, former law enforcement perpetrator," as sirens wailed in the distance. Noah broke free from the waitress restraining him and sprinted across the lot. Lisa dropped to her knees, gathering her son into trembling arms despite her split lip and forming bruises. The boy looked up at Alex with something between terror and wonder. "You made him stop." Alex knelt to Noah's level, seeing his younger self in those frightened eyes. "People who love you don't hurt you, buddy. That's not what family does." When the police arrived, their handshakes with Jason didn't go unnoticed. Alex positioned himself to record everything on his phone. The thin blue line could be impenetrable unless exposed to the light. Noah clutched Alex's leather jacket, unwilling to let go of the first person who'd stood between danger and his mother. Some families we're born into, others we find along life's broken roads. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Heart Stories for more tales of courage and compassion that remind us heroes come in all forms. And sometimes the strongest families are those we build ourselves. The antiseptic smell of Austin's Methodist Hospital couldn't mask the scent of fear that clung to Lisa Reynolds as she sat with bandaged ribs and ice-packed cheekbones. Noah hadn't left her side, his small fingers intertwined with hers as if afraid she might disappear. When Alex and 2 Rainbow Riders appeared in the doorway with a stuffed eagle, Noah's face brightened for the first time since morning. "The doctor says we can leave tomorrow," Lisa offered quietly, her educator's voice maintaining composure despite circumstances. "I don't know how to thank you all." Alex shook his head, dog tags jingling softly beneath his shirt. "No thanks needed. How long has he been after you?" 8 months, she whispered, ensuring Noah was distracted by the toy. We left Houston when he threatened to use his connections to take Noah. Jason has friends everywhere in law enforcement. I thought Austin would be far enough. The unspoken truth hung between them. Nowhere was far enough when the person hunting you knew how the system worked from the inside. That evening, the converted warehouse that served as the Rainbow Riders clubhouse vibrated with tension. Beneath pride flags and vintage Harley memorabilia, voices rose as members debated their next move. "This isn't our fight," Marcus argued, his salt and pepper beard emphasizing decades of hard-won wisdom. "We start a war with an ex-cop. We're asking for trouble none of us need." Alex stood beneath the photo wall faces of riders who'd survived rejection from blood relatives only to find salvation among chosen family. "When I was 16, my father found letters I'd written to another boy. He gave me 30 minutes to pack before changing the locks." The room quieted. Alex rarely spoke of his past. "Nobody stood up for me then. I'm not walking away from that kid." Later that night, as neon from South Congress Avenue painted kaleidoscope patterns across the clubhouse floor, plans formed. Calls to the Texas Coalition Against Domestic Violence revealed disturbing patterns in Jason's past complaints, buried, records sealed, previous partners who'd mysteriously dropped charges. Within days, a fundraiser at Austin's Pride Festival generated enough for first and last month's rent on an apartment with security features in a building owned by a rider's cousin. Rainbow Riders took shifts, establishing a protective perimeter while maintaining distance that allowed Lisa and Noah to rebuild normalcy. Alex found himself drawn back frequently, something in Noah's tentative smile reflecting his own childhood wounds. He brought sketchbooks and colored pencils, teaching Noah to channel fear into art the way he'd once done during deployment. "You're really good," Alex remarked as Noah's fingers created startling beauty from blank pages. "You've got a natural talent here. Mom says I get it from my grandfather," Noah replied. "I never met him, though." Alex recognized the hunger in the boy's eyes, the yearning for male guidance that couldn't be satisfied by occasional visits. It triggered uncomfortable reflections about his own unresolved pain. Who was he to step into this role when he'd failed to reconcile with his own family? The last conversation with his father had ended with words that still burned after a decade. Yet each time Noah ran to the door when Alex arrived, each time Lisa's expression softened from haunted to hopeful. Something healed in places Alex had long ago barricaded. He began bringing extra riders for security during outings to museums and parks, creating space for childhood joy amid trauma's aftermath. When Lisa discovered Noah's nightmares had diminished, she touched Alex's arm with hesitant gratitude. "Whatever you're doing with those art lessons, it's reaching places my words can't." What began as protection evolved into something more profound, the slow, careful cultivation of trust between broken people who recognize that healing happens not in isolation, but in connection. Family. Alex was learning. Wasn't just about shared blood, but about who chooses to remain when darkness falls and fear overwhelms. Sometimes the bravest act isn't facing danger, but allowing yourself to be seen by others after trauma has taught you to hide. Spring blossomed across Austin, but the fragile peace shattered when Jason Mitchell posted bail. The judge, a golfing buddy from Jason's law enforcement days, dismissed Lisa's tearful testimony with practiced indifference. The restraining order remained technically in effect, yet carried the weight of tissue paper against Jason's determination. Within hours, Lisa's social media accounts flooded with messages from concerned friends relaying Jason's promises. He'd changed. He missed Noah. They could be a family again if she'd stop being difficult. The digital harassment escalated to include Rainbow Riders, with anonymous posts labeling them child-corrupting degenerates, interfering with a real man trying to reclaim his family. Outside Trudy's diner, tensions flared when members of the Iron Horsemen, a traditional biker club with connections to Jason's police brotherhood, blocked Rainbow Riders' motorcycles. Their president, a mountain of leather and prejudice, delivered a clear message: this ain't your business. The woman belongs with her man. Natural order. Alex's hand instinctively reached for dog tags that had accompanied him through combat. There's nothing natural about terrorizing a child and his mother. The confrontation dissolved without violence, but escalated the stakes. Alex contacted Elena Vasquez, a Lambda legal attorney specializing in cases at the intersection of domestic violence and LGBTQ+ issues. Her investigation uncovered what the system had buried 3 previous wives who'd fled Jason Mitchell, one hospitalized twice before disappearing from Texas entirely. His record was scrubbed clean every time, Elena explained over coffee at the Rainbow Riders Clubhouse. His brotherhood made evidence disappear, witnesses recant, and judges look the other way. But this time, we have your video from the parking lot and independent witnesses. Lisa's apartment transformed into a fortress. Rainbow Riders installed security cameras while teaching Noah emergency protocols disguised as secret agent games. Despite fear shadowing her eyes, Lisa returned to teaching, refusing to surrender her independence. Alex spent sleepless nights parked outside their building, hypervigilance from combat zones reawakening. During daylight hours, he helped Noah channel anxiety through art, marveling at how the boy transformed darkness into vibrant color. Independence Day arrived with Austin's summer heat rippling across pavement. The downtown celebration offered temporary escape, and Noah's face illuminated by sparklers as he gazed skyward at fireworks. Lisa allowed herself rare laughter, her fingers occasionally brushing Alex's arm with growing comfort. The moment shattered when Alex spotted Jason moving purposefully through the crowd toward them. Despite the restraining order, despite witnesses, Jason advanced with the confidence of a man who'd never faced consequences. "Noah," Jason called. "Son, come here." Noah froze, ice cream melting unnoticed down his hand. Lisa stepped forward instinctively to shield her son, while Alex activated the emergency signal to scattered Rainbow Riders. "You have no right." Lisa's voice trembled despite her straight spine. "The court order. Courts don't understand what a boy needs." Jason's charm appeared genuine to observers. Reasonable, father denied access. Only those who knew he better saw the calculated menace beneath his smile. Alex positioned himself beside Lisa, noting the suspicious bulge beneath Jason's jacket. "Sheriff Martinez is right over there. Jason, walk away before you violate federal firearms restrictions along with that restraining order." The newly elected Sheriff Martinez, a woman who'd risen despite systemic resistance, had been briefed by Rainbow Riders. Her deputies converged as Jason's hand moved toward his concealed weapon. "Mitchell, stop police." When officers discovered the loaded gun and gasoline-soaked rags in Jason's backpack, the federal charges became inevitable. His arrest played out beneath firework bursts that painted the Texas sky with temporary beauty, a fitting backdrop for freedom, hard-won. That night, Noah clung to Alex with tears soaking through the skin. "You're my hero," he whispered, unleashing complicated emotions in Alex's chest. He wasn't a hero, just someone who recognized the difference between power and strength, between control and love. Real heroes weren't defined by dominance, but by the courage to protect vulnerability in a world that often mistook cruelty for strength. Real family wasn't about possession, but about creating space where others could flourish without fear. Autumn painted Texas with golden light as Lisa began attending therapy sessions at Austin's Safe Alliance, specializing in domestic violence recovery. The courthouse loomed ahead, its marble steps witness to countless battles fought beyond physical bruises. Noah clutched his art portfolio, evidence not of violence but of healing drawings that would help the jury understand what words couldn't express. "You don't have to testify," Alex reminded gently, kneeling to Noah's level outside the imposing building. "Your art can speak for you." Noah's chin lifted with determination beyond his 8 years. "Mom says sometimes being brave means telling your story so others can be safe too." Inside, Jason Mitchell sat beside expensive attorneys, his posture radiating injured innocence. His defense painted Lisa as unstable, Rainbow Riders as agenda-driven interlopers, and himself as a concerned father separated from his child. Only when Noah's artwork displayed on courtroom screens, dark shadows with glowing eyes surrounding a small stick figure, and his mother did jurors glimpse truth through a child's perspective. The prosecution revealed Jason's history, restraining orders spanning 15 years. Three ex-wives whose testimony formed a damning pattern. The gasoline and weapon from the festival became irrefutable evidence of intent. Sheriff Martinez testified about systematic cover-ups within her department that had protected Jason for years. Thanksgiving approached as the trial concluded. Jason Mitchell received 15 years in federal prison with no possibility of early release. Lisa and Noah stood on courthouse steps, surrounded by rainbow riders, as reporters captured a new narrative not of victimhood but of community creating safety where systems had failed. Alex maintained respectful distance during interviews. Uncomfortable with public attention, his thoughts drifted to his own unresolved past, the family dinner table where his seat had remained empty for a decade by then. Noah's courage inspired something unexpected. That evening, Alex made a call he had postponed for years. "Dad," his voice caught. "It's Alex." The conversation lasted 4 painful minutes, not reconciliation, but a hairline fracture in walls built from rejection. A beginning. Winter brought Noah's artwork to a small gallery exhibition featuring young artists affected by trauma. His piece, titled "My Rainbow Family," depicted leather-clad figures forming a protective circle around two smaller figures. The simple artist statement read, "Family is people who keep you safe." Well, Lisa found Alex studying the painting, emotion tightening his features. "He sees you as family now," she said softly. "I hope that's okay." "I never thought I'd have family again," Alex admitted. "After my dad threw me out, after some of my military brothers turned their backs when they learned I was gay, I built walls. Noah's good at climbing walls." Lisa smiled, her hand tentatively finding his. "So am I." Rainbow Riders evolved beyond their original mission, establishing Rainbow Shield, a nationwide network connecting LGBTQ+ organizations with domestic violence resources. Alex testified before the Texas legislature about law enforcement accountability. While Lisa trained teachers to recognize signs of abuse in students' homes, Jason's appeal failed, each legal defeat diminishing his power over their lives. With distance came perspective, understanding that abusers themselves often carry generational wounds. Though this explained rather than excused their actions, Noah flourished in art therapy, his works evolving from dark manifestations of fear to vibrant expressions of safety. When his school planned a father-son camping trip, he asked Alex without hesitation. The moment balanced on fragile ground, significant beyond simple companionship. "I'd be honored," Alex replied, understanding they were creating something new, not replacing what was lost, but building from broken pieces. True healing happens not when pain disappears, but when it transforms into wisdom that guides rather than governs. The strongest families aren't necessarily those formed by birth, but those forged through conscious choice to remain present through darkness until light returns. 1 year after Noah's desperate dash into Trudy's Diner, the restaurant closed for a private celebration. Checkered tablecloths hosted plates of blueberry pancakes, Noah's favorite, while leather-clad Rainbow Riders mingled with teachers from Lisa's school and advocates from across Texas. A local news crew filmed for a segment on community responses to domestic violence, their presence testament to how far the ripples had spread from one small boy's courage. Noah, standing taller and smiling easier, unveiled a canvas covered in careful brushstrokes. Heroes Wear Leather depicted the Rainbow Riders as guardian angels with motorcycle wings. Their faces rendered with surprising detail for a 9-year-old artist. "This belongs at your clubhouse," Noah announced. "So everyone remembers that family isn't just who you're born to." Alex accepted the gift with uncharacteristic emotion. The room blurring slightly, the painting would hang prominently in the Rainbow Riders headquarters, eventually becoming their unofficial emblem as chapters opened across America. Within months, Good Morning America would feature their story, inspiring similar organizations nationwide. The Texas legislature, responding to unprecedented advocacy, passed Noah's Law, strengthening protections for domestic violence survivors and requiring specialized training for law enforcement handling such cases. Police departments could no longer quietly transfer officers with domestic complaints, ending the brotherhood protection that had shielded Jason for years. Lisa blossomed as both teacher and advocate, her quiet strength reaching others trapped in cycles they believed inescapable. When the Human Rights Campaign honored Alex with their Courage Award, he redirected attention to Lisa's ongoing work with educators. True courage, Alex told the audience, isn't found in dramatic rescues, but in survivors who rebuild despite having every reason to surrender. Christmas brought unexpected healing when Alex's father requested to meet for coffee. The elderly man, smaller than Alex remembered, sat uncomfortably in Trudy's diner, clutching photos of the grandson he'd never known existed. "Your mother would have loved to meet Noah," he said, voice rough with regret. "She always said you'd be a wonderful father." "I'm not his father, Mom," Alex clarified, though the distinction felt increasingly semantic. "Just someone who cares about him." "That's what fatherhood is," the older Walker replied, reaching cautiously across decades of absence to squeeze his son's hand. The following summer, Rainbow Riders led Austin's Pride Parade with Noah and Lisa riding in a decorated sidecar. Their banner, "Family is who shows up," became a rallying cry beyond LGBTQ+ communities, speaking to anyone who'd found belonging outside traditional structures. 10 years later, Alex and Lisa stood watching Noah, now 18 and exceptionally talented, pack his car for Rhode Island's School of Design. The full ride scholarship recognized artistic brilliance born from trauma, transformed into beauty. The three moved around each other with the comfortable choreography of family, not replacing what was lost, but creating something equally valuable. "I couldn't have done this without you both," Noah said, embracing them before departure. "You showed me what real love looks like." As the car disappeared down the street, Lisa's fingers intertwined with Alex's, wedding bands catching sunlight. The journey from that desperate morning at Trudy's diner had led somewhere neither could have imagined, to family created through choice rather than chance. What unexpected guardian angels have appeared in your darkest moments? Sometimes heroes arrive in forms we least expect, teaching us that family transcends blood and biology. Subscribe to HeartStories for more real-life tales that remind us connection is our most powerful protection against life's storms.